Hey there, everyone. Ryan Schul here. Thanks for checking out my channel. So in the project today, I want to do a silly, funny, random little experiment to see if all the billionaires in the entire United States paid around 10% of their net worth, and it would be relative to their net worth, right? So some that are more affluent would pay more, and some that have lower net worth would pay less. But if every billionaire paid around 10% of their net worth, would it help us pay off the U.S. national debt? And to what percent? Could we pay off 10% of the debt, 20%, 30, 40, 50%? I really didn't know when I started this experiment, but I wanted to find out, right? So I went to the Forbes 400 list. This is what it looks like. You have all the rank, person's name, net worth, age, state, and then the source of the person's revenue. So you have the rank going 1 through 50 on this first page, and then the person's name, right? Again, the net worth, age, and where they reside. So the interesting thing here is that you have 8 pages. So you have 50 people per page, 8 pages total. If you go to the last page, you see the ranks. Some of these are repeating. So we have 347, 347, 347, 347, 347. So we have a bunch. All these net worths are approximately 3.8 billion. Then you jump to 3.59. Let me see if the ranks are repeating. I forgot if that's dense rank or just rank. Sorry, give me a second. Sometimes I go off on these tangents. I think that is rank. I think that's for the rank. So rank may skip numbers when there's a tie. Well, dense rank will assign consecutive without ties. Yeah, so that's exactly right. So that is a rank. If it's a dense rank, you'd see 347 here and then 348, right? But if there's a tie, it skips these records and just goes to the next record, which it should be. So we get at the end 399, right? But we have two 399s at the end right here and 388, but skips to 399 because you have all these numbers in between, right? So if it's a dense rank, you wouldn't actually have 400. You would have consecutive numbers that don't repeat, right? It's more of a statistic type of statistics type of methodology here. We don't have to get into all the details of that. But if it's dense rank, then numbers are consecutive. If there's rank, numbers get skipped, right? And that's exactly what we see. We skip from 388 to 399. So they have defined it correctly and they've done all the work correct. Okay, so we validated that. So we go through and we get all the details from this URL. When we get to the bottom of the page, there's a small right arrow that we can click. We can use Selenium to do the work. Selenium is an interactive web browser technology that interacts with the web page, so it can input information into input boxes. It can click a link. It could click an arrow button and move to the next page, almost like a human being sitting in front of the computer screen doing the clicks for you. You can program Selenium to do the same thing, right? So we've opened the page. We're going to start the screen scraping right now. Okay, and it should move all by itself with no intervention whatsoever. Let me see what this thing does. Oh, so on the main landing page here. Let me move this down just a little bit, make sure the arrow glass is running. And of course, my computer is old and kind of tired of T14, so it's kind of going a little bit slow here, but I have faith and confidence that this thing will work. Yeah, it's still running, so I can see the hourglass there. So let's give it a minute. It's going to scrape through all of these pages, these 8 pages, and get all the records from each one. Okay, so it's going. There's 51 rank. Okay, so it's going all by itself. You can see my hands not touching anything, not doing it, not doing it, not doing it. All right, so Selenium is doing that right-click button to advance to the next page. We do it 8 times. Once we get to the end and there's no more buttons left, then it just goes to sleep. It says, okay, my job is finished here, and going to tap out. Okay, so we're up to 150. Good progress. Moving right along, 200. So we're halfway there. There's 250. Okay. Now we're getting into names I don't recognize. Those first on the first page, so 1 through 50, I recognize all those people. Now these are a little bit more anonymous, but as a billionaire, how anonymous can you actually be? Okay, so now we're up to, looks like 347, getting close to the finish line here. Okay, and okay, and we're good. So we got everything. I will post all this code later when I post the video, so you don't have to copy and paste all this. But the main thing to know here is Beautiful Soup is doing the screen scraping, and Selenium is the web driver that interacts with the button click event. So it looks for a button click called next. If you go to this website over here and you look real close, I'll show you how this works. And I have a bunch of videos on my channel about screen scraping. So if you're really into this, you can go ahead and check out those other videos. If you right click on the button and go to inspect, you'll see the HTML code behind this button. Let me take you right over there again. So it skips around a little bit. Okay, so this is where it goes. If you look close, when I put my mouse over this text, that button gets highlighted right there. There's a whole row. So that's what you're looking for. You're just looking for a button click event. And I would have to go over a little bit here. But if you right click, copy outer HTML and put it into a text file, you can see all the HTML behind the button right there. Okay, and that's what it looks like. And there should be okay, it's not called event. Let me go back to the code and see. It is called button. Oh, button. Yeah. Course button. Can't find button, right? Maybe I got that outer, inner. Wait, what did I get? Okay. Getting a little bit off track here, but let me figure this thing out. Okay. Inspect. Copy elements. Okay, let me try the element. I still don't see the arrow right. It's either arrow right or button. I was looking for button over here, but I didn't see that. Oh, I guess it's above that. Okay, so if I copy all this thing, sorry, and then copy and then paste it over here. Button class. Okay, so that's what the code is looking for. So I'm not going to get into all the HTML and all the beautiful soup things, but I do have other videos on my site that takes you through all of that. Basically, we are doing an HTML parsing, looking for rank, name, net worth, age, date, source, philanthropy, and this is column 0, 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 7. We always start with 0 in Python world and go up to n, whatever number this is, and we're trying to click through all the buttons until we get to the end. If there's no more buttons to load, then there's nothing else to do. Every time we are appending everything to data, right? So we have the rank, name, net worth, age, state, source, philanthropy. That matches up with this. This goes to data.append. And then if you go down here, data, and look for that, data becomes our data frame, and we're assigning these column names to the data frame. So that's how we get this. We have 325 records. I think some might have got jumped over here or something like that. That's a little bit weird. Let me try this one more time. Give me a second here. Let me do this one more time because we should have a 399. Maybe because I was playing around with that dense rank thing. Let me try this one more time. This will be fast. Control Enter to run. Okay, and we're going through the same thing. So here's the list right here. Data is the list. We're appending all the details onto the list. Rank, name, net worth, age, state, source, philanthropy, and so on and so forth. Okay, there's the page opening. Let's try one more time. I might have taken the focus off the main page. You kind of have to let this thing run all by itself. If you intervene with it, then it can do some funky things, right? So it's like just set it and forget it. So I'm not going to touch it again. And let's see if it does what it's supposed to do uninterrupted. Okay, so there's page number 2. And moving on to the next one here. Yeah, I think I interfered with the focus. The focus is which screen is in front of all the other screens. That should have the primary focus, right? So that is the main thing that we have to just let it run, let it do its thing, right, and not interfere with that. Because if another window becomes the focus, then it's looking for that other thing, right? Unless you hard code all the script and tell it you have to look specifically at that, right? There's a couple ways to do it. I don't think I actually did that one. Okay, give it a couple seconds to finish off here. Okay. About 3/4 of the way. Okay, and coming up on 7/8 of the way. Okay. I'm not touching it, just let it do its thing. And that should be pretty much it. That should be the last page, right? And at the bottom is 400. Okay, well, let's scroll down and see what we got here. Okay, so we got 400. I think I took the focus off the screen because I was playing around with that dense rank thing. Anyways, we have all the records that we need. So the last one is Frank Vandersloot and Norman Berman is right before that. So that's 399, 400. And then we have Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. If we go over here, should see exactly the same thing, right? Bezos, Musk, Bezos, yep. And we go down to the end. And the next to last and the dead last is Berman, Vandersloot, slot, whatever the thing is. Okay, so we have all the data. We're in good shape. So what I want to do is go ahead and take approximately 10% from each of these billionaires, okay, relative to the net worth. Now, this guy, I don't like to mention his name, but he has 244 bill. If you take 10%, pretty obvious, 24 bill. 197, take 10%, 19.9, okay? And it's not exactly 10, I'm just kind of rounding off here. 181, 118, 175, 117. Or 17 billion, okay? So you see how the concept works. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit Control Enter just so you can see. I'm not just like making this stuff up. I wrote the code and it actually does work. So we're cleaning up the data frame a little bit to get the B's gone because Python doesn't work good with letters and strings. I mean, there's all kinds of natural language processing. That's a whole different topic. We're just doing a basic analysis here. So we have to clean up the data frame, get rid of the $sign and the B for billion, right? So once we do the cleaning, we have nice clean data set right here, and we can get the relative net worth. And that is basically the contribution of each billionaire. And we multiply that by the net worth clean, right? We did the net worth cleaning over here. We got the total wealth, and I just set 550 billion just to get this number to round off to about 10%, right? So if I say 100, this is 10 billion, okay? Then each person would contribute more than 10%. I'm not going to be too greedy. I just want to get 10% from each of these guys. And you can see this is 18.3. So if we said, okay, guys, we need to get, this is 10 billion, okay? This is 10 billion. If we need to extract 10 billion, it's going to be 18% of people's net worth. If we take only 550, I think this is up 10.1, okay? So that was my hypothesis. Again, just a fun exercise. If we take 10% of each billionaire's net worth, how much do we get? Okay, we need 550 billion in total. So I just picked that number, kind of arbitrary, but my intention was to get this to about 10 billion. So if you take the 550 billion, divide by 37 trillion, it's 550 divided by 37,000, you get 0.1485%. So this is about 15 100ths of 1%, okay? So you can mull over that for just a moment. 15 100ths of 1% or 15% of 1%, which is the same thing, okay? So how did I get this 37 trillion? I looked at this website over here, and if you don't like a lot of fancy colors and fast moving things, and if this gives you a headache, maybe just click on it quick and then click off, because there's a lot of stuff going on here. So this is the total national US debt, 37 trillion. That's where I got the denominator from. So this is kind of interesting. I can't spend too much time on this without freaking out, because this is very, very, very busy website. But we have debt per citizen, debt per taxpayer, because some people are not taxpayers. Children are not working, and retired people aren't really working, but they're probably still paying taxes if they're getting some kind of pension or what is it called? Social Security, right? Things like that. So they have all kinds of breakdowns here. This is the Dodge clock. I don't even know what Dodge is. That's kind of a new thing for me. I don't know what that is. I can't speak to that. But the federal spending per year is 7 trillion, and U.S. federal budget deficit is 2 trillion. So you have all kinds of things over here. You have like, if I go down here, debt per household, 8,232 credit card debt. So that's a totally different thing. Oh, that's credit card debt per household. I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent here. I guess they have debt per citizen, debt per taxpayer, and then they have interest paid, credit card debt. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. It's a little bit overwhelming. Then you have the U.S. population, workforce, median income, all kinds of fun stuff, right? But anyways, that's where I got the 37 trillion. I put the link to that at the bottom of this workbook here, so you can have that right here. That's the debt clock. You can play around with that if you want. So here's the thing. We're taking 10% of each billionaire's net worth, right? And that comes up to 550 billion. Now we can take more, right? If we get greedy, we could say, give me, just for fun, give me 20 billion. Okay, that's a little bit more than half of the national debt. So we can cut the debt in half immediately. But then we're taking 36% from each billionaire. So the first contribution would be 89 billion, then 72 billion, 66 billion for the first 3 records here. And then the relative percentage would be the same. But my question to you is, do you think that these guys are going to give up 36% of their net worth? I seriously doubt it. I doubt that's going to happen, right? So I tried to make it a little bit realistic. So I put 550 just to get it close to 10%, right? It's 550. Then we have 10%. But would each billionaire give up 10% of their net worth? I think that is just a fantasy too. I don't think that's going to happen, right? This is just a fun little exercise just to see what these numbers look like. So this is 550 divided by 3700. So if we took 10% from each billionaire, every single one in the United States, we could pay off 15 100ths of 1%, not even close to 1%. And if you took 20 billion of the 20 trillion of the 37 trillion, we could pay off 54% of the debt. But honest to God, like these guys aren't even going to give you 10%. There's no way they're going to give you, what was it, the other number? 36, 66? What was that thing? Oops. 36%. Yeah, okay. So look, it's just a fantasy. Nobody's going to give you that kind of money. But just to put things into perspective, 37 trillion is a lot of money. If you put in 550 billion, you're only paying up 15 100ths of 1%, not even close to 1%. So what does this tell us? The U.S. national debt is exceeding 37 trillion. That's a remarkable number, okay? Debt is growing faster than the economy. The debt to GDP ratio is over 120%. This is a very dangerous number, guys. If we get over 120%, historically, this is where the tipping point occurs and countries start to crumble, that the entire society starts to collapse, right? Fundamentally, inflation starts to spike up and rage out of control. People will do very evil things to be able to afford food for their family, and the price of food can double in the course of just a week, maybe even one day if you have super hyperinflation. And we've seen this even in recent times in Venezuela and Argentina. The countries have completely collapsed, right? Just in the past couple of decades. And you've seen this happen historically over time. I'm not sure if it was due to debt, but you saw a lot of countries collapse from within, right? Their worst enemy was themselves. The attackers didn't come from outside of the country. It was the people inside of the country that blew themselves to kingdom come, right? The ancient Egypt, Babylon, Syria, what else? What's another one? Byzantine Empire, Holy Roman Empire at the time when Jesus was born. All of these countries were absolutely dominant force at the time, and they all collapsed very quickly and not very quietly. It was a very painful experience, right? And that we know that from the history books, and we saw 2 cases I just mentioned, Argentina and Venezuela recently. So we know how this thing plays out. We have evidence. We know what's going to happen next. It's not like this thing is taking us by surprise. Once we get to this number right here, where is it, 120%, things can go whack-doodle very quickly and very easy. So hopefully we can control the situation, but I'm not very optimistic. I'm an optimistic person, but when I look at these numbers, I'm not optimistic. Even if you put 550 billion, you're only paying a 15/100ths of 1%. Like this, these are staggering numbers, guys. This is big numbers right here. So I think whoever is in a leadership, governmental leadership position in this country should step up very quickly, or things are going to explode, and that's not going to be a good explosion. I can't think of too many explosions that are good explosions, but maybe there's some out there. Maybe I'm not just thinking of it. Anyways, big numbers, guys. Big numbers. Something should be done. Most debt is in Treasury securities. Most debt is held by other countries. I think China and Japan are the number 2 largest holders of U.S. debt. And so they don't want to see the U.S. collapse or the value of the dollar depreciate. But if it does happen, it becomes systemic very quickly, because so many countries have U.S. debt, and so many countries have debt of other countries too. So it's very, very intricate system. It's a very complex web. And we saw some of these things play out during the 2008 financial crisis. That was pretty scary. I lived through that. I was earlier in my career, and there was just some crazy things that were happening that were kind of predictable before it even happened, but nobody really paid attention. And at the beginning, middle, and end, it was pretty scary the whole time, all right? So there is a debt ceiling, and there's a major recurring risk here that should be addressed. I don't know if our elected officials are actually doing that, but they should be. Social Security, Medicare are big drivers. I think these are the number 1 and number 2 main financial burdens or financial reciprocals for U.S. U.S. funds. I think the U.S. Armed Forces or U.S. military is number 3. You can check that out. I think those are 1, 2, and 3. And that's pretty much it, guys. The U.S. currently pays about $3 billion per day in interest. These are big numbers, and it's expected that this year, in 2025, only 2025, the U.S. will pay about $952 billion just in interest payments just in 2025, and they're not even paying off the principal, right? So these are big numbers and big risks that need to be addressed. Okay, and even if you get 10% from every billionaire, of the 400 top billionaires in this country, it's only 15/100ths of 1% of the U.S. debt that's being paid off. So just to put things into perspective, I hope people can appreciate that and try to understand the staggering quantity of volume, quantity of capital that we're talking about here. It's a big number, guys. It's a very, very, very big number. So I hope somebody levels up and takes care of this. I'm not in the U.S. Senate or House. I have no political affiliation whatsoever. Otherwise, I would do something. There's nothing I could do anyway. So that's it. I just wanted to do this project just to see where we are at this point in time, and we're not in a good state. The state right now is pretty foul. So that's it. I'm going to wrap up the video. Hopefully that was educational and enlightening. Very scary. All true. It's 100% true. You can do the analysis yourself if you don't believe me. I will give you all this code. You can copy and paste it and run it in your Jupyter notebook. I'll save a copy right now as an HTML file, and I will post the code later today when I post the video later today. Okay, we'll do both at the same time. So thanks for your attention, and thanks for sticking through to the end. I appreciate that. If you have ideas for more types of analyses, this is just a general analysis I did. It has nothing to do with data science, machine learning, AI, nothing to do with that, right? Just like a funnel exercise. But if you have some comments, post it in the comment section, or recommendations for future videos, give me some ideas and I'll check it out, okay? Thanks for your time and enjoy the rest of your day. Talk to you soon. Bye.